Nerd Rage Renegades.
Everybody, welcome to Renegade Reviews. These are your reviews for the books that, if you're listening to this, came out yesterday, the 9th of May.
Indeed. And again, these are just our opinions on the books and don't necessarily reflect poorly on the publisher or the artist or creator.
Exactly, and these are our honest opinions on the books that we read. Big week. I've read a couple. Chief's read more than me this week because it's hot. I'm tired all the time now. I'm a warm weather hibernator. I don't hibernate in the cold in the wintertime. I hibernate in the summer.
I can't sleep in the heat, man.
Oh,
I just can't.
It sucks, man. It sucks. I mean, it's on fire. It's on fire. Kind of like the books. So let's start off. We're going to start off with Boom. Now a little bit of an update. We have gotten our stuff from IDW. There was just we had a little bit of trouble getting in this week. but IDW reviews are coming. We did get our passwords and stuff. So IDW reviews are coming. We just this week.
I think we might need to contact them again too, because I think the password I think they got to update us on everything.
Right. So we're going to start off with Boom. I'll go ahead and kick it off with Boom. Let me actually pull this up here. That way I have them in front of me because my phone is like dying. I can't keep a charge on my phone to save, for the life of me.
Yeah. Mine seems to drain really fast too.
It drains so fast, and that's mostly with the review stuff. That's mostly where I read these comic books are on my phone.
Yeah, me too. I always read them. I always read them in the car or where I'm at.
I'll tell you this. I am liking a lot of books that Boom is putting out.
Yeah, I know. It's some good stuff. I used to read a lot of the cartoon stuff, like when it first started coming out, like the regular show and Adventure Time, and like the Cartoon Network stuff that I thought was funny, and I didn't realize that they were putting out some of the stuff that's coming out lately is really good stuff. And not that the stuff before wasn't good, but this is more like, it's not like cartoony comedy related. It's more serious work. And it's some pretty good stuff coming.
Definitely. Boom. The one I read this week, Boom does the WWE.
Yeah, I saw that on there. I didn't get a chance to read it, but
it's
17 issues in already.
17 issues in for this. I think there was one maybe before this that they had done previously, or WWE had put out through like another publisher. But Boom is now doing the ongoing WWE book, and lately the last couple issues they've been doing an arc for the women's evolution. So for those who may not be wrestling savvy, so to speak, the women's evolution was a time just a few years ago where WWE started transitioning away from more of like what you used to see in the past, like bra and panties matches, or they would be wrestling in like pudding or something like that, lingerie matches. They got away from the overt sexual type matches that you would see with the female wrestlers, or at that point divas is what they called them.
Yeah.
And they started focusing a lot more on the wrestling abilities of the female wrestlers. And you started seeing this evolution with the women that were in their developmental territory, NXT, with wrestlers like Sasha Banks, who happens to be the cousin of Snoop Dogg. Snoop Diggity Diggity Dog.
He was at that WrestleMania or whatever,
Yeah,
didn't
he's a WWE Hall of Famer in the celebrity wing.
we? Yeah, yeah. That's what it was. We talked about it on the show.
Yeah,
That was like when I got WWE Network for a month.
yeah. And also the like Ric Flair's daughter Charlotte Flair. They started really amping up more on the wrestling. So this one, number 17 from Boom for WWE. Now the writers are Dennis Hopeless and Teenie Howard, who's someone
Really?
who is someone I'm working to get on the show is Teenie Howard. She's also doing Hack/Resurrection. We met her at C2E2.
Yeah.
And Dennis Hopeless, of course, who's done so many things with Marvel and some fantastic books. He did Avengers Arena, I want to say, which was a really good story arc. If you haven't read that, go get the trade of Avengers Arena. The artists are Serge Acuna and I'm going to butcher this name, so I apologize. Hyunjin Kim. I hope I said that right. Hyunjin Kim. With a main cover by Dan Mora. And the cover that they have, I absolutely love. It's Bayley and Charlotte, and like Charlotte's like diving onto Bayley. It's almost like they're flying in the air.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
That is
in front of like a 70s album cover.
Yeah, really, really good. So what I'm liking about this is it looks like they are taking actual matches that happened in WWE and in NXT, like actual matches, and then building the story around the matches.
So it's taking the story they already come up with in the actual match and then just embellishing it with comic book art and story.
And adding stuff in because, I mean, we all know wrestling is a predetermined outcome, scenario.
Well, it's almost like a Star Wars comic book versus the Star Wars movie, extrapolating on.
Right. So you have the match, and then they kind of show in a character format this the character behind the scenes. They make
the stuff you didn't see in the actual match. This is what could have been happening, right?
Right. This is what could have happened. So this one focuses on Bayley. Who was the last member of what the WWE call the Four Horsewomen being called up to the main roster. And I really enjoyed it because the matches that they built this story around were matches I watched. These were matches I watched live as they happened at NXT takeovers, where Bayley lost the NXT Women's Championship to Asuka and then lost her rematch, and then went up to the main roster as a tag team partner at one point for Sasha Banks in her feud with Charlotte Flair and Dana Brooke. So what I really enjoyed about it is you get those matches, but you get Bayley behind the scenes. And I know this is probably not what she felt. This is the story that Teenie Howard and Dennis Hopeless created, but her feeling that she's never going to go to the main roster. Maybe she's not good enough like the other ones. Her time is, as the headliner for NXT is over. And I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that they are like, these matches happened, but here's what we are going to write that happened between them. And so, really an interesting take on it, and I'm so happy that I get to read these now because I'm just really loving it. The artwork is amazing. In there, and the way that they capture the matches and things like that is just out of this world. And like little things, like they don't change how the match ended against her and Asuka. It's exactly how it ended in the, you could read this comic and then go right onto the WWE Network and watch the match, and it's the same. It's the same thing.
I would think this book would sell a lot just because I know most. I would say I'm not really a WWE fan, but I would say a good portion of the people I know that read comic books are WWE fans. So it's like the perfect crossover kind of thing to be doing as a comic book, and in that, especially in that style of matches that people have seen.
Yeah, and the other thing I really enjoyed is there are characters like in the background, in background panels. But what's really interesting is you look at those characters in the background. I know who they are. They don't state their names in the book, but I know who these characters are. Like I'm looking at one panel and I know that's Aaliyah, who's wrestling in NXT. Another one I know it's Billy Kay, or it's Sarah Amato, the trainer. If you're a fan of WWE like I am, and you know these people who are backstage, the trainers, these other wrestlers, and you read this comic and you look at the art, you can tell who they are.
Well, that's always a plus.
It's always a plus, and it's so cool because even looking at shots where they would draw like the fans in the background, they drew the fans wearing different WWE T-shirts, licensed T-shirts like for Bayley and other wrestlers. So it's that little level of detail, that they put into it that I really enjoyed being a fan of professional wrestling and a fan of the WWE. I really enjoyed those little touches, and there's Mick Foley's in the book. Mick Foley is in this book. You gotta love Mick Foley. He's Santa Claus.
He's bound to pop up.
Oh, definitely.
WWE comics.
Now there is that's the main story. There is a follow-up story. It's a very small follow-up story about Asuka's debut on the main roster. It's only maybe 2 pages, but I'm hooked. I'm a fan now. And the other thing is that they also, you remember when Marvel was doing those variant covers that were like the action figure covers?
Yeah.
They do that with WWE. So one of the variant covers is like an action figure variant for a different wrestler. So I like that.
That's cool.
So a really good story. I highly recommend. If you're a fan of WWE, pick up the WWE comic book from Boom. It is just simply amazing. So kudos to the entire creative team for this book.
Right on. I read a couple Boom books this week. I'm just kind of getting to know what they have out. Like I said, I've read Adventure Time and Regular Show and books like that, but I'm just starting to get to know some of these series they're putting out now that we're getting the previews for things. But I'm kind of coming in the middle of a couple series here, so I just checking them out to kind of evaluate the writing and like the art level and all that stuff.
Right.
And but I mean, it's hard to judge like the overall story arc because I'm coming in on this one, RoboCop Citizen's Arrest. It's Brian Wood and Jorge Coelho, I guess that's I'm not exactly. I could be butchering that
right.
too.
Well, that's the other thing about getting these review copies is we can get them, and Boom also has their backlog, so you could go back find RoboCop Citizen's Arrest #1. Or go to the
store. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I haven't had the time to go back and check that. Yeah, I forgot you told me you could go back to the old issues.
Go to the store, go to the shop and pick it up.
That's true. Always support your local comic store. But it's pretty good. The story is pretty much about OCP is now got these new robot enforcement drones out on the streets and stuff, and they pretty much put RoboCop they put him like in this retirement programming that he can't break, and he's got to come out and fight these other OCP and these other these android things that they build or whatever, but he can't. He doesn't want to. He's like passive now. He doesn't want to He gives his big hand cannon away for somebody to throw away, and luckily the guy doesn't throw it away. And the main part of this story is they're trying to get the way to turn off this retirement protocol thing, so that he can once again become RoboCop and kick some ass. So they eventually get it, and it's revealed that his buddy didn't throw away his gun. He had the gun, so now he's got his gun. And he heads off to kick ass. But I mean, art wise, it's pretty good. Story wise, it seems like RoboCop. I mean, it's kind of that dystopian Detroit kind of feel that the movies have. But I mean, overall, if you're a RoboCop fan, you're gonna dig it a lot. You know,
it's real interesting looking at it because I mean, I remember. I mean, there's been RoboCop comics forever.
Yeah, well, for a while.
Marvel had the property for quite a while.
I think Dark Horse did RoboCop for a while, didn't they?
Yeah, Dark Horse I think had it for a while. I'm looking at the art right now. Definitely, yeah. The artwork is. I mean, what I like about this is artwork that's different from what you would normally see in mainstream, like from the big two.
Yeah.
And
a lot of Boom's artists seem to be like that though. Like the last couple, like the couple fantasy books I've read from Boom in the last few weeks have had like it's kind of weird stylistic characters and stuff, but it's really cool. It's like really, and it's really like really bright colored stuff too. Like really,
yeah.
Like the palette on this cover, like the pinks and purples and stuff on it look really cool.
I think the shade lines, the way they show depth in here is really cool. I also like the fact that most of this issue, RoboCop doesn't have his visor on, so you see the man.
And he's got clothes. He wears clothes over his RoboCop skin.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
It looks really interesting.
I guess it's kind of weird for him just to march around all metal and naked to the world. He should probably put some clothes on.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. I like Frank Miller did a RoboCop series a couple of years ago, and I dug that. So I've read RoboCop comics in the past. This one's kind of cool because it's kind of like right back in Detroit, and that it's not like RoboCop fights Predator or anything weird like that. It's set in RoboCop's universe, so it's more like the original RoboCop. So I kind of dig that about it.
RoboCop
but
versus
overall,
aliens.
it's pretty good. Yeah, exactly. So like, or like RoboCop teams up with Batman or something crazy.
Yeah,
something crazy. But I mean, no, it's cool that it's set in RoboCop's universe, and I probably will have to go back and read the first one and find out why he's like in retirement mode and not fighting evil.
Right.
But overall, it's pretty good. Maybe I'll go back and read the first one and then continue on, and then by the end of the series, I'll have a better grasp of it. Like I said, I'm trying to just read stuff from Boom that I haven't read. Like I've read Adventure Time, I've read Regular Show, and I kind of know what those books are about. But like I haven't read a serious series from them, like RoboCop or a property that I know well. You know, like a RoboCop. Like I pretty much know RoboCop pretty well.
Right.
So reading the book, I can get kind of a sense of whether I like it or not. It feels like RoboCop to me when you read it. It's in that world. The characters you remember from RoboCop are there. But it's at least RoboCop, the main character. But I mean, yeah, it's all right. I mean, I have to go back and check out the first one and read the rest of the series, but it's pretty good. The other one that I read was the Planet of the Apes Ursus, number 5, which again, I'm coming in late on it, but I mean, like the Planet of the Apes, they're drawn like the old school Planet of the Apes, like the old movies.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I like that. It's like the old Heston apes, not like a modern day apes.
Yeah, this is David F. Walker of I believe Power Man and Iron Fist, recently of Power Man and Iron Fist, and the Christopher Mooneyham is the artist. Paulo Rivera did the cover.
Actually, this says illustrated Lalit Kumar Sharma.
Well, according to this, it says Planet of the Apes number 5 of 6. Christopher Mooneyham says artist on it.
Well, when you look, if on the preview page, but if you look at the actual book, it says written by David F. Walker, illustrated.
Oh yeah,
by Lalit
on the
Kumar
cover it says Sharma.
Yeah, so that was
that's weird.
Yeah. Maybe just a mistake on the.
He might, maybe he dropped off the project or something, and they listed him anyway. Some mistakes. I don't know. Could be any reason. But
Paolo and Joe Rivera did the cover, and Michael Allred did a variant cover.
Yeah, Paulo Rivera's got some cool artwork. I follow him on Facebook, and he's pretty awesome. But this is it's kind of a cool thing because it's kind of it's when they're trying to cover up I can't. Since I'm coming in late, it's hard to tell if they're like flashing back to it or if it's like, because I know there's a couple of flashbacks where they go back to where they they discover the Forbidden Zone and they discover the Lincoln Memorial,
Mm.
and they freak out and they're like, well, we can't let the other apes know anything about this, and this is like the general, I guess he's the general Ursus of the army of the apes that this book focuses on. But it's all about from this issue anyway. It goes back to how Zaius and him and like Zaius, they're going to cover up the Forbidden Zone because they didn't want the apes to figure out that they came from men, or that men were there before them. However they put it, apes came from men or men came from apes, whatever. But yeah, it's all right. I mean, I think I'd probably dig these books just because I like it I like the old school style of Planet of the Apes, the old Charlton Heston style look to them, and the way the helmets and the costumes all look, and the way and the faces and everything. So I think that's pretty cool. I do like the modern day Planet of the Apes movies though.
Yeah.
The new ones, but I love the look of the old Planet of the Apes. I've always loved those movies. So this series, I'm guessing this is one of many Planet of the Apes series they do, because it's just it's a 6-issue miniseries. But just based on this issue, I'd probably read the rest of it. I'd say that just because it's interesting, and I dig that era of Planet of the Apes.
And they're always doing things like with Planet of the Apes. I know there was like a Planet of the Apes Star Trek crossover that was done not too long ago. Planet of the Apes, I think, have crossed over with Green Lantern before.
Yeah, I believe so. There's been some strange Planet of the Apes crossovers. Yeah. But once again, yeah, I like that it's just that. It's just, this is what it is. Much like I like the Marvel Conan, like King Conan series is pretty good. But my favorite Conan comics that I've ever read are the Dark Horse, Robert E. Howard licensed estate adaptations of Robert Howard's actual
King Conan, things like that.
Yeah, I dig those more than any of the off extended Conan stories from or crossovers with other characters. But so yeah, I definitely dig when it's just original Planet of the Apes, and so that would probably prompt me to read it. I don't know how many people dig Planet of the Apes, but if you do, you probably dig this. Much like I said with Robocop, they're kind of similar kind of things to have read this week.
Yeah.
But overall, I dug both of them. I mean, I the more we review Boom, I'm sure I'll get hooked into a series and be able to
I'm really enjoying reading these books from Boom. WWE, reading the Power Rangers books.
Well, it's new stuff. It's stuff that I didn't actually normally read.
Yeah.
Like I'd pick up a random one here and there. Adventure Time, early on Adventure Time, I read a lot, and then I would just pick them up randomly if they had a funny cover and looked interesting here or there. But these I could see getting into an actual Planet of the Apes for sure. I'll read that series.
Definitely, I love they've got a lot of the pulp licensed properties. Robocop, Planet of the Apes, Sons of Anarchy, Fraggle Rock. A lot of the Henson books. Fraggle Rock #1 out this week.
That Dark Crystal hardcover that I read last time is really amazing, man. The artwork is really good, and it fits with the movie Dark Crystal. It's a continuation of that story, and it's a really good story.
It's interesting because I'm looking at even with the Fraggle Rock book that came out this week, Jared Cullum doing the story and the art on it. These Jim Henson World books, the artwork for Fraggle Rock, I like it because I'm looking at it and it's almost watercolor.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're not skimping over there on the writing teams and the artists over there either, man. They're getting some pretty big names doing some of these books.
Right, and this is
but Jim Henson's a pretty huge property to get for your publishing company.
And this is a very simple story of Moki losing her muse, losing her inspiration with art, and going on a journey to find her inspiration again. But the artwork is amazing because it's watercolor. it's very simplistic, like the way you would think a Fraggle world would be, just a simplistic, colorful world.
Yeah, well, that's in the sense of like the Dark Crystal. That's kind of the way to like the world of the movie. Kind of you can kind of see it in the artwork of that book.
And this is definitely Fraggle Rock. Definitely, it's an all ages book for those who were fans of the show growing up when you were kids, to new younger comic book readers. If you're looking for something in a world of superheroes and darkness, sex and things like that in books. If you're looking for something for your kids, Fraggle Rock, I mean, that's a good book to pick up for the kids. If they want to get into collecting comics, definitely that's a good one to get into. So I very much applaud Boom for having they have stuff for everybody. They've got the stuff for like you and me, the Robocops, the Planet of the Apes, but they have things for the kids as well. It definitely is a publisher that you can look at and say there is something for all age groups there, where most publishers really aren't.
Yeah, the one thing I haven't seen really from Boom yet is a horror book to read, because I dig horror comics, right. And I haven't seen, I'm not saying they don't make one. They might very well. I don't know all of their titles yet, but if they don't have one, that would be something cool. I'm sure that they're looking to add more titles in the future. It's not just going to be these forever.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're sure to get more properties and more stuff later down the road, and have even more variety and more choice of stuff. But right now, I mean, it's pretty good, man. I've been really impressed with Boom.
One of the ones I'm going to go
what they're doing since we've been getting the books, and I can kind of check out what they all do.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome titles.
One of the ones from them I definitely want to go back and check out is the third issue, and the second printing of the second issue came out on the 25th of April, and that was the Labyrinth Coronation.
Yeah,
I want to check that out, because I know that week I had reviewed Power Rangers, and you had reviewed Big Trouble in Little China, Old Man Jack.
Yeah, another property that's just great. I think John Carpenter even writes that book, if I'm not mistaken. But man, that's a really good, funny comic book.
There's so many I want to check out. I mean, there's a series now called Kong on Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I've heard about that too.
So it's King Kong.
That'd be interesting.
Definitely the Dark Crystal trades that are out there, and yeah, Chief, the Citizen's Arrest #1 came out on the 11th of April.
All right, cool.
Just for your knowledge. But definitely, if you're not looking at Boom, definitely go look at Boom, because
there's some pretty good stuff.
And I may have found your horror book. They released it back in the second issue came out in March. It's called Lucas Stand Inner Demons.
Oh.
So that
right
may
on.
be. We'll have to check that out. But definitely. Go check out Boom. I mean, also if you're a huge fan of like Steven Universe, they got the Steven Universe comic is through there.
Oh yeah, a lot of the Cartoon Network stuff. I believe they do all of it. Yeah. All that exists. And when Adventure Time regular show, I think we both started when they started #1. I think they do some kind of preview of Free Comic Book Day or something, and then they started the
and
series.
I think I've got #1 for both of those books.
Yeah, I think I've got variant covers for both.
I know
of them
I've
too.
got variants, but I got a lot of the Fiona and Cake variants that they would come out with.
Yeah, but just as funny as the cartoon, I thought. Actually the Adventure Time comic books and regular show get more in depth into
the world.
Into those worlds, and you get to meet, and there's even more characters and stuff, and they kind of flesh out characters that you'd see in the cartoon that didn't necessarily get any screen time or lines in the cartoon.
Yeah.
But they'll like follow that character for a while, and then they're pretty funny. And I think the writing level, the joke, the humor level in those is as quality as the show.
Every week I'm becoming more and more of a fan of Boom's books. So I'm very, very happy that I'm able to now go back and take a look at it. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's move on to DC this week with the little bit amount of power I have in my on my phone. And let's go ahead. Let's talk about the big one this week, which is, of course, Justice League No Justice.
Yes, sir.
Brand new out this week. Of course, Snyder, Williamson, Tennion the Fourth, and Manapool working on this book. This is the start of the big summer event for DC with the Justice League. And it's also stemming out of Snyder's Metal. Everything that's now happening with this book are direct responses to what happened at the end of Metal, where the heroes broke the cosmic barrier.
Yeah, this one opens up with Green Lanterns. All the Green Lanterns are showing up in one sector of space, right? That's right.
It's all of them. I mean, everybody's in there.
They called everybody.
You see, John Stewart. You see Kyle Rayner behind Hal Jordan. You see Guy Gardner, who has to get one up and say it's Hal and his friends in the Justice League did this. They caused this, depended on Hal. And basically, what happened in Metal is they broke this barrier that kept the universes kind of separated.
Yeah.
And now things...
And really, they don't know there's, anything to do with, monsters, anything is on the other side of it for all the, things are coming through.
Right, and now something has come through. And what's come through is so terrifying that Brainiac has come to Earth to form new teams to battle these entities out of heroes and villains from the DC Earth Prime.
Yeah, and now we know why there's all the heroes are split up into those different, Team Entropy and Team Hope and all that.
Team Team Mystic. Then you got your other teams that are trying to take the Pokemon stadiums, at the gym, trying to take those away. Your Team Mystic, your Team Fire, or whatever. Team Magma.
Oh yeah, I could tell you probably what the hell they are.
I don't even have that game on my phone anymore. I remember Team Mystic. But this had one of the things that you absolutely love in when it comes to Superman, which Superman still in the red tights, got the red tights back on.
Yeah.
But it has something that you love where he's talking to Brainiac's there. They're all fighting Brainiac. He goes, "We have precautions now in Metropolis. This whole area is evacuated. There are no civilians, which means I don't have to hold back."
Yeah.
And he punches Brainiac through multiple buildings. And I know you love it anytime Superman can just unleash.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one that clip from I can't remember which one. Justice League Unlimited or something when he fights Brainiac. Or fights Darkseid.
Yeah,
he fights Darkseid, and he's like, he's like, I live in a world of cardboard. He's like, I got to make sure I don't hurt anybody all the time. He's like, but with you, I think you could take it.
But it's really interesting because Brainiac, it's himself, but he's also sent his drones across multiple areas of Earth Prime, taking out different teams, the Team Titans, the Titans, the different superhero incarnations, because he's Brainiac. He foresees that only he has the proper knowledge to form teams that can take on these entities that are basically they're going to destroy planets. They're going to destroy planet after planet after planet.
Yeah.
And that's
why. And they've already taken Brainiac's homeworld has already been attacked by these things, right?
Right, and that's one that they're attacking now, and he's getting the heroes to his planet, and that's why the teams are mixed up. That's why you now see Starro on a team, and Deathstroke's on a team, and Harley Quinn is on a team with heroes, and bringing back characters, Martian Manhunter, is back. You know, Zatanna's back in the lineup. Beast Boy is now on a team with Batman, and he's over the moon for it. The only one that has a problem with everything is Damian, of course.
Yeah. Well, Batman says he doesn't want Damian to be separated from him. He said, I don't care what kind of teams Brainiac creates, you're coming with me.
Yeah. So there's these 4 entities which are, you know, hello Dougie, which are the, you know, the entropy and things like that, the wisdom. They basically fight amongst themselves about which one of them is the best, which of these attributes is the best. And the heroes are out there now in these teams that they have to try to work together to stop these entities. Meanwhile, Amanda Waller has to... I'm not going to give much away about what happens at the end of the book, but Amanda Waller has to stick her nose into the business, and she causes quite an upset in this book. A wrinkle in the plans. You know, she threw a monkey wrench into the plans of Brainiac.
That's kind of what she does, though. That she's got a team of people that the kid that like psychically invade his mind or something. That she's got like a whole network of.
She has kidnapped every like all the most powerful psychics on the planet. I think I saw like Oracle was in there. Not Oracle. Omen. Right, Omen, I believe it is. Yeah, Omen, like all the massive psychics. And she even says in the book she kidnapped them. She didn't ask them to come nicely. She kidnapped them. And she's got, the Suicide Squad is known as Task Force X. This is Task Force XI. So Task Force 11. But she throws a major monkey wrench in it. But first of all, I love the art. I love the art in this. I love the way they draw the heroes. I love the way they draw Brainiac. It's almost a mixture of classic comics and animated series a little bit.
Yeah, I like the style of it. They kept Brainiac skull shit, but they put him back to like more old school Brainiac and not like the Brainiac whatever he was in like the superpowers era.
Right. And Superman is back. This isn't like what we've been seeing. His costume's not what we have been seeing like since New 52. It's not. It doesn't look like armor. It looks like the old school tights.
Yeah.
Uniform.
Which is fine. You know, hey, I
dug the armor.
I gotta admit the Superman New 52 Superman armor, I was kind of like, I don't know. It was like nanite armor or something, and just like form on his body, like when he needed it to.
Looks cool, looks cool in Injustice, though.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna Injustice. Like, again, I say multiverse. I call multiverse on DC and Marvel movies because that's what they are. They've got their own distinctive universes within the DC world. So I mean, they can kind of do what they want movie wise. But I mean, as far as comic books, I just like the look of that's the character I grew up with. So to me, red underwear, right on. I'm good with that.
And this is going to be stemming into multiple books because Scott Snyder did tweet out that we are going to find out what Aquaman's doing. There's going to be like a No Justice with like Aquaman and stuff. So there's going to be different No Justice books, and it is kind of interesting in a way how there is some stuff that kind of mirrors No Surrender a little bit.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Yes, I haven't actually had a chance to read the Jason Aaron Avengers #1 yet. I do have it.
It's good.
I haven't read it yet. But you were telling me to read both and compare, and I didn't get a chance to do that, so I didn't know what you meant. But one thing I noticed in this is that when they talk about like the two cosmic brothers or whatever they are,
the four cosmic brothers, yeah.
Yeah, well, the four. It reminded me of, remember the DC Marvel crossover when they had the two brothers were the Marvel and DC universe.
Yeah. And
they were the cosmic representations of the Marvel and DC universe, and they clashed together, and they had their heroes of their worlds fight for the fate of their universe.
It's always something like that, because, I mean, even in Crisis, you had the Monitor, and then you had the Anti-Monitor.
Yeah.
You always have
the duality of villainy and good or whatever.
Yeah, and this time, Scott, Williamson, Tinian, they all They took it one step further, and instead of a duality, they made it a quadruple. They made it a quadralogy, or whatever you want to call it.
We got to do something. I mean, if they would have done, people would have just called foul on the Marvel DC crossover if they would have not changed it up and did something different. And even the artwork looks similar to that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a like they ripped it. I'd say it was definitely a nod to that, possibly because of the look of it and the fact that it's the brothers as DC represented by four brothers as opposed to like DC versus Marvel with the
right. And what I like about it is this is, I think, like with Metal you got, Metal was a huge thing, but it was a Batman story and a Justice League story. A lot of the events that you get from DC are primarily Justice League centric. This one truly feels like the entire DC universe is going to be affected because there's going to be so many different stories. I mean, and then the characters that they've brought onto these teams, like I mentioned Starro, which when I saw Starro on a team when I was reading the preview for DC Nation, I was like, how is that going to work? That when you have, a megalomaniacal space starfish, psychic space starship trying to work together on a team, and then you have, like, they've even brought Etrigan in. Etrigan's on a team.
Yeah.
And Etrigan is, he's that character. He came in with which was kind of weird because they introduced they're not all heroes, and they brought some villains in. So, but Etrigan and Lobo were like the two that I was kind of like, well, they're not, they're more anti-heroes than they are like villains.
I was kind of happy to see Martian Manhunter coming back to be like a main
definitely
character. You haven't seen him like in a main starring role in anything in a while, but anything that I've read.
It's good to have him back. I mean, he's a very intricate part of the DC universe. I love having him back. I love that they picked Zatanna for, I guess they had to pick the magic user that wouldn't, go off the rails.
Well, but will we find out what John Constantine is up to while this is going on?
I hope we do, because with all this type of stuff, there's Constantine. I think it's been established that Constantine's the most powerful magic user in the DC universe, as far as human magic user.
Oh, yeah, a lot. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it manages to weasel his way out of just about everything that he gets caught up in, even disease and cancer and death.
Well, I mean,
so,
and even like Zatanna's had to go to Constantine from time to time for help because even she couldn't figure something out, but he could. So it would be nice to know what he's doing, maybe what Swamp Thing's doing.
Well, it seems to me like other magic users in the DC universe have learned their skill like to the letter and have tried to master things their whole life, and it just comes easy to John Constantine.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why people hate him, because he's got such a lax attitude about magic, and I mean he comes off like he's not serious about the forces he's dealing with, and really from his inner monologue and the way the character, he knows what he's doing, and he does know that what he's dealing with, and he's always two steps ahead of even like the Sons of Trigon and shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, like he's like a step ahead.
He knows there's going to be consequences.
Yeah. So he's not afraid to pay for it. Like that's the other thing. He's not afraid to pay for what he does.
Right, and that's why I love that character so much. So it's very fun to see all these new characters that are going to be interacting, these Justice Leagues that are going to be interacting outside of what
Snyder really shook everything up. Snyder and Jeff Johns have just taken the DC universe on both sides and just shook it apart.
And that's one of the things I really enjoy about Rebirth is everything's shaken. I mean, for so long it was Arthur Curry is the king of Atlantis. He's the king of Atlantis. Now he's the fallen king. He's deposed. He doesn't want to be king. Mara's going to be queen of Atlantis, and he's able to do what he needs to do. Constantine's back in London doing...
Aquaman's also an interesting character for the fact that we know alternate versions of him are just despotic tyrants.
Yeah.
that are not playing games. And so that makes for Aquaman being an interesting character, and that seems just in the last 15 years or so that character's developed to that degree.
Yeah. I got a crap ton of the Peter David run that I'm gonna start reading. I'm missing a few issues of it, so hopefully I can fill those gaps as I go through. But I've got a lot of the Peter David run that I'm gonna read. And Peter David does some amazing work in comics. He writes some amazing stories, so I can't wait to read this.
Some good novels too.
Yeah, definitely. So Snyder shook things up with Metal, and now he's got a great team that is with these books. I mean, Joshua Williamson, James Tynion. I mean, Francis Manapul. I think it's Francis Manapul, right? Yeah. Just an amazing team working on this, and everything that DC is doing right now, with
it's interesting, if nothing else. I mean, it's definitely different than what I expected this to be, like another reboot and everything, and it's not at all. It's all new, interesting stuff.
It's all interesting. I mean, Batman getting married soon and things like that. And
I think they're also proving to Marvel that you can keep your core characters and develop new ones at the same time.
And I think Marvel has realized that, because some of the books that are coming out now with Marvel, I mean, they're going back to basics with Marvel. I mean, the Avengers are going back to basics. They make, the main characters of the new Jason Aaron run, you've got your Avengers, but the main core, the main three are Cap, Thor, and Iron Man. That's your main. And then, we're getting a new Hulk book, the Immortal Hulk. So they're bringing, a book that's solely Banner. It's not Cho, it's not She-Hulk, it's Banner.
Well, that's what I've been waiting. I'm waiting for Slott's FF too. I'm some people are upset that Slott's going to be writing FF. I'm looking forward to it, because despite what I think Slott has done some pretty solid work. Superior Spider-Man is one of my favorite Spider-Man runs of all time.
I'll admit.
So he's done some good stuff, and I didn't dig a Silver Surfer all that much, but hey, Spider-Man was good. I'll give him a chance on FF because it's classic.
I'll admit that when Parker came back after Superior, the run of him being, like a millionaire was interesting, but then it kind of became routine. It was like Clone Saga, Green Goblin, Venom, Green Goblin.
I'm late for a meeting.
I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late. But it kind of became like a circle. It's like, we'll do this story arc, but then Green Goblin story arc. Then we'll do this story arc, but then another Green Goblin story arc. It's kind of like even in Batman, you'll get a Joker story arc, and then it could be like a year or more before you get another Joker story arc.
They pull back on the Joker a lot in Batman.
Right. Well, I'm excited for the wedding, because Joker is going to have a big part in the wedding. And
that story, I got that DC Nation.
Did you read that story?
Yeah, that's man, that's some great artwork, by the way. In that, that's amazing.
And I told you, that story just shows how crazy the Joker is.
Yeah, I dig stories like that.
That wasn't even an invitation at the end when he thought it was,
Yeah, I like one-off stories like that. I dig them. I think they're cool. That's the reason I like that Legends of the Dark Knight book that I don't think they even make anymore. But
that Joker story was a lot better than the Forever Evil Joker one-shot book about the monkey.
You know what? I think DC learned their lesson during that era with all those lenticular covers and all that hype and promotional crap that they put out at the time. And I was going back, like, especially during, what was the one after that?
Future's End?
Is it Future's? No.
I actually liked Future's End. I'll admit that I liked Future's End, because that one had a lot of lenticular covers, too. I liked Future's End.
Yeah, but I can't remember which. It was one of those, the ones that immediately followed the lenticular run with the Forever Evil and all that stuff. It was one. I remember they couldn't even give those books.
Convergence.
It stacks. It's Convergence. Yeah, exactly. They couldn't give Convergence away. It was on like half cover on it. Like by the end of, they finally just got rid of the box. Like
To this day, I still don't know what that whole story was about because
I don't
I
either. I
started
lost
reading
total
it.
interest in that.
Yeah, like there was some books in that I was interested in. Like I liked seeing like Captain Carrot back again, but like even like the like they did a Supergirl one for Convergence, but it was Matrix. It wasn't Linda Danvers. It wasn't Kara Zor-El. It was Matrix, and it's one of those things where unless you're a diehard comic fan like we are,
Yeah.
you don't know who Matrix is. You don't know who that Matrix was ever a Supergirl. So that was kind of weird. But then they did when they announced Rebirth and did Rebirth. So far, there are some books that like even Hellblazer I think at times gets a little slow.
Yeah, I don't read all of the titles, but the ones that I do read are always solid as
Definitely.
hell. But so, I mean, I'm sure there's some that may be subpar. I even there's some that I don't even have the time to get to, like ones that I like Hal Jordan, Green Lantern Corps. I hardly ever get to read that. There's a few of them in there that get by me that they send us so many. Like DC has so much output every month. It just seems like there's just even read.
Well,
but definitely since Rebirth, it's been solid stuff that I've been reading.
Well, it's definitely with the books. Like we're getting down to the wire here, but if you want to go ahead and talk about Flash real quick, let's go ahead and get into Flash real quick because we are running out of time. But I know that they're starting the Flash War soon.
Yeah, I was thinking that the Grodd thing was going to be like a prelude to the Flash Wars, but it actually wasn't. The Flash Wars is going to deal with Zoom and Eobard Thawne going to the past to attack Wally West and Barry Allen and kind of destroy their. They said there's no. It said in the past they've tried to go back and show Barry Allen and Wally West their potential, I guess, in a psychotic but loving way. But now they've not done what they've thwarted them at every turn. So now they're just going to go back and destroy it. And it's leading up to the War of the Flashes, which I guess is going to be a pretty spectacular event because I was thinking we were already getting into it, but I guess not. But it's pretty good, and Wally West is experiencing people that are experiencing weird like some kind of problem since Wally West has come back. Something is changing in people, like some people that are getting their memories back, and something screwed up with them, and I think it's affecting Wally West too, and so Barry Allen is trying to figure out what's wrong with Wally West, and he's going to go try to find Bruce, so he runs to the Batcave, and he ends up getting pissed at Bruce and ends up smashing the Bat computer. But then in a matter of seconds repairs it because he feels bad because he smashes it right in front of Alfred. And so Alfred gives him a little talk about Master Bruce's priorities and why he does things the way he does. And but then we see that Eobard Thawne and Zoom are what they're plotting to do, which is going to lead into War of the Flashes, which it should be pretty awesome because there's a bunch of Flashes now. It's not just Barry Allen and Wally West. I mean, you got another Kid Flash. There's another Wally West. There's the women that have recently gotten the Flash. I can't even remember what the one girl's name is. Mina, I think, is one of them, and I think she's the one that became the Negative Flash. And man, I think even was it Multiplex? I think he even got Flash powers or something. There's a whole bunch of Flashes, and so it sounds like it's going to be cool. I don't even know how it's getting by me. I thought that we had already gotten to because there was a big Flash battle in the Grodd arc, which I thought was going to be like a start of the War of the Flashes, and that ended up petering out into they fixed it all within the issue. But this apparently is going to deal with Zoom and Reverse Flash, so it's going to be pretty cool, I think, because it's definitely going to deal with like time travel and weirdness. So, which is what I like about the Flash, and it's a good book. Flash has been, I would say, even through since New 52 Flash has been consistently good. All the way through. Francis Manifold, Buccellato, those guys, and then all the way through up to today. Flash has been a solid book. I dig it. But Barry Allen has always been, well, as everyone knows, respect Barry Allen.
Hashtag
I created, exactly. I created the hashtag respect Barry Allen on Twitter long before the television show, mind you. This is a good few years before the television show when the first respect Barry Allen hashtag went up on Twitter. And that was because I did a video on how long Barry Allen was dead, like 23 years or something?
Something like that.
Like, it's got to be one of the, I mean, besides like Bruce Wayne's parents, obviously, and like, it's got to be one of the longest deaths for a comic character.
Yeah.
And to return and not be like a permadeath.
And we're talking like the actual character, not a alternate universe.
Yeah, like the real DC, like prime universe.
We're not talking like Flashpoint Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, no. This is the actual Barry Allen was dead for 20-odd years.
Yeah.
So I always dig the Flash. Always respect Barry Allen. What did you only get to the Justice this week?
Yeah, that's all I was able to get to this week. But it's definitely a good one to get to. It was definitely a good one to get to.
I also read Immortal Men, which is getting pretty good. I think it's an interesting start to a new superhero team. I dig that one. So far out of the new books, I dig that one, and I like the the Terrifics is good. And what was the other one that I kind of dug? I can't think of it right now. But that was pretty good. The Immortal Men as a team, they're fighting this other group of some aliens or powerful beings of some kind that have these they're weird like alien creatures. They look kind of like the xenomorphs from Aliens, but they're at their like attack dogs, and they're after this kid, this rich kid, and who also happens to be one of the Immortal Men. And it looks like it's going to be pretty good. And so far they're like showcasing the different. This time they kind of told who they all were and gave a little bit of background on each of the Immortal Men, and so that was pretty good. I also read Detective. Detective is dealing still with Tim Drake. Future Tim Drake is now I think it's actual Tim Drake has merged with Brother Eye and has gone to attack Batwoman Kate, and so that's starting to heat up. And now Spoiler is trying to break the connection between Tim Drake and Brother Eye. So that was pretty good this month. And what else? I think that could be it. Was it? Yeah, I think that was all. I think that's all I got. So just a quick rundown of those two since we're kind of at the end.
Yeah, so those are your reviews for this week. Make sure you go to the shop, pick them up, give some love. Go look at any other publishers that are out there. Image, IDW, Dark Horse, of course Marvel. Take a look at their selection. They also had some good books come out this week.
What did you hear about Doomsday Clock got pushed back like another month? Issues 5 and 6 are now pushed back, everybody, just in case you hadn't heard that.
Yeah, and which is still, that book is still...
I'm going to read it.
Oh, I'm going to read it.
Doesn't matter.
It's still, that book is a very slow burn, but a very good slow burn.
Well, it's good, though. I'd rather they take their time with it and put out a good book than rush it out and it suck.
Definitely. We don't want it to be rushed and it's just like
garbage. If you're dealing with Alan Moore materials, you got to tread lightly.
Because you don't want crazy Alan Moore coming at you.
Well, they already did before Watchmen, which I really kind of dug before Watchmen. I thought it was actually a pretty cool, insightful series into the Minutemen. But but it didn't really touch Alan Moore's continuity of his story. This one actually is. Jeff Johns is actually touching on actual Watchmen continuity. And so I'm sure he's being very careful with it.
Real quick, what would you say is your pick of the week?
Let's see. Pick of the week this week. I'd have to go with No Justice this week. Overall, I think it's the most epic I think it's winding down from a series I really enjoyed, Metal. And if Snyder's writing a DC property, I'm going to read it and probably dig it. So I mean, it could be biased there, but I dig his writing. So yeah, no Justice this week for me.
I'm also going to go with No Justice, but like I said, definitely if you're a fan of the WWE, pick up the WWE book, because I think that is just what I read this week was fantastic.
Well, one other reason too that I picked No Justice is also because this is dealing with core Justice League mainline DC continuity. So I think it's an important book this week that came out, like that kind of overshadowed everything else a little bit.
The main man.
That's right. Big man on campus.
The BMOC, Big Mustache on Campus. So with that, make sure if you haven't, go check out this week's episode of the Nerd Rage Renegades podcast, where we break down Infinity War. Yeah.
And why we liked it, and why people who didn't like it, we don't think they watched the whole thing.
Exactly. So go pick that up. Also, if you're a fan of ours, please follow us on all of our social media. Of course, that's Twitter, NRDRG Renegades, Space Chief 75. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/NRR Truth Radio. Instagram is Nerd Rage Renegades. Yes, I have been putting pictures on the Instagram. I have been doing it. So there are new pictures going up constantly on the Instagram. So follow us on Instagram, Nerd Rage Renegades. Of course, YouTube, we're at Nerd Rage Renegades. There will be a new commentary track coming within the next week.
Oh, yeah. We got Alice in Wonderland.
That's right. The 1989, maybe, TV version. It was late 80s TV version of Alice in Wonderland. Will be coming out on the YouTube. Every week you can catch Renegade Reviews, this show, on Podbean, Stitcher, Player FM, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. So until next time, thank you so much. We'll be back next week with some more reviews coming your way.
Good night, everybody.
Nerd Rage Renegades.